my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Get out of here. Here we go again, man. Starting with no sound. Let's start over again. Guys, I mean, that's just the thing of doing it live, man. All right. Shall we start over again, everybody? Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. I don't know what I would do without the guys in the chat to be able to tell me when I leave myself on mute when I start a live stream, but that's just part of doing it live. So in Markets in the Morning, what we do is we take a look at the price action at the cryptocurrency market. We look at the stock market, gold, metals, yields, news, everything as we get ready for the day to start. And we check out what the price action has been doing over the course of the last 24 hours and what it's looking like as we head into the new day. Of course, on Wednesdays, we try to keep it pretty fun in here. We keep it light, tight, and bright. And well, on every Wednesday,
Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my
there we go. Now we're doing it right. Okay. Got ourselves off to a fresh start there. Yeah. If you are new to the channel, if it was your first time tuning into Markets in the Morning, on Wednesdays, we tend to have a good time in here. It's halfway through the week, halfway to the weekend. That's just what we do here. So if that's not your thing, having fun is not your thing, I'm so sorry. We are going to do that today. But at the same time, we do kind of take a more serious look at the rest of the market. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We've already got off to a little rough start with being on mute. We'll just dive right on in. Looking at the cryptocurrency market, we can see we are off to somewhat of a red start today as we get ready for the day to start. Most things are in red. You got like one in green, just barely, but mostly in the red. You got Bitcoin down about $500. You got the altcoin market down about 1.3%. The big thing, of course, everybody is hooting and hollering about and curious about is with XRP, which just here in this last day did quickly shift itself up into the retracement levels. So we'll spend some time talking about this. Boy, can you believe it? I posted this on Twitter yesterday. If you would have asked me 36 hours prior, as we were still sitting underneath here, if we'd be back at our 702 retracement just 36 hours later, hard no. I wouldn't have expected that, but yet here we are going for that. So we'll dive into this, talk about the complications of it right now. Just everybody who's ever watched this channel for any amount of time, there's an NFT collection called the 702 collection. It's 702 in the intro of my channel, which I've had that intro for years. You see the character, BCB, popping right on out, head into the moon as he cracks through that 702. And then, of course, there's the NFT that's just completely focused on the 702 and how much of a difficult battle it is and how you can get rejected here. But typically when we break through these, that's when the excitement comes right now. So we'll review that where we're at right now. The last time we actually ended up getting up into that region and what happened in there. But we'll dive into that here in a second. I think one of the more interesting things this morning, at least, and so obviously that's the main focus of everybody, but I've got to point over here to this, is looking over here at Bitcoin. So we've been spending months at this point, about 2 months, talking about the corrective structure here for Bitcoin coming in here, talking about, hey, you know, when we get through these phases, we are typically beyond the capitulation, right? Breaking through the neckline, if you want to call it a neckline, or breaking through the support, right? Break through the support, that's your capitulation. And then we find our supporting levels. So we, you know, fortunately, we've been watching this, not expecting it to go too deep as we have seen in past, right? In past, you can just kind of go plowing through that thing and get down pretty deep. The expectation hasn't been that we would actually go as deep as past ones have gone before, but it definitely has held up exceptionally well, even better than I would have thought that it would. But like we talked about earlier, the days are a blur at this point because I am recording so many videos. I'm recording bcbacker.com videos that don't get published. I do live streams and then newsletters and all this stuff. It's hard to remember if something was done on a Monday or if it was done last week, because there could be like 10 videos that I recorded in between the 2-day period. But I believe it was Monday, and correct me, it may have been Friday. Did I put out a video on Monday? I did. That, you know, we have gotten through the capitulation phase, right? And that here we are, and looking over here we are. So these are what the kind of bottoms look like as we got through capitulation last time. That we did pop our way out of here, and yet it still didn't mean, like in 2021, we had the kind of that short squeeze, and then we went and finally flushed down into that low to finish Bitcoin off in there. And in 2020, we more so just kind of held it, but still kept the waddling sideways. If we're going to get the move, it seems like the most likely thing that happens in these consolidations is that there is some type of pause that happens in here, and the next flush is our flush. And just wherever that ends up landing, that typically in these structures marks the bottom of it. So that's what we're kind of waiting on right now. So you can see how that happens in here. Just kind of a quick pop, stalls, then flushes. It doesn't go that deep, right? So flushes doesn't go that deep. And then over here in 2021, you short squeeze your way out like this, as we have. And then it flushes down and heads to the new low, but that marks the bottom. So we're kind of at that point right now where this could come within, I'm going to guess, within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, we'll see that flush happen for Bitcoin. And that'll mark the low, if it even sets a new low. I would say, yeah. So I don't know if it'll set a new low. And you can see both examples. Both examples, one sets a new low, one doesn't. But that we are at the phase where there would be one more flush, and wherever that ends up landing, wherever that ends up bottoming, my speculative guess will be that will be the low that will mark it. And then still likely, the most likely thing is still the cruel summer to continue on. But that will mark the bottom of this move. Then every low beyond that will be slightly higher than that. So I think that's where we are right now. And I think we could get that today, or we could get that tomorrow. If we're going to check the news. I haven't checked on it in a day or two in regards to debt ceiling progress. The last time I remembered looking at it was like on Sunday or Monday, and I think it was said that it was supposed to be voted on today. So maybe that's our little fear thing. Maybe there's a little thing that dangles there and it doesn't quite get a conclusion today. Maybe it does, but that would be the thing. So great. I know people don't like hearing that. Great to see that happen, because what I was actually more concerned about was that we would hold here for a long time, that we'd have to have this talk heading here for maybe 2 more weeks before finally getting something like that. I'm more excited to have it happen quickly and have it happen now and just get it over with, and then move on with bull posting, because this has been the thing that's been holding me back. You guys know the content. I even say it when we go through these phases of like, I feel like I'm having to repeat myself. I feel like I have to say the same thing. I feel like I can't like fully say bull, 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 because I have these things in here. After the next flush for Bitcoin comes, I'll just be bull, 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 bull. So I will annoy the crud out of everybody, or I will make everybody happy. It seems you can't do both. You can't make everybody happy. It's usually some or only portions of them. Anger one, upset, make the other happy, make one happy, whatever. All right. So Bitcoin, now we're going to find whether or not if this is going to set the new low. If it does, if we slap into there, if we just kind of hold. My guess, within 48 hours, we see that flush happen. XRP, we'll come back to this one again because I have a feeling we're going to spend some serious time over here on XRP. Stock market, now the stock market opened 7 minutes ago. So we were looking down heading into the futures. It looks like now that the Dow has opened, we're down 178 points for the Dow Jones, we're down, which is about 0.55%. We're down 20 points for the S&P 500, which is 0.47%. We're down 45 points for the NASDAQ, which is 0.3%. Looking over here, most of the market is in red to start the day off. The ones that are in the green would be Microsoft, Apple, and ARK. Losers, Ford, GE, Meta, but only 1% or so. Looking at the NASDAQ has been interesting because the NASDAQ's been pushing its way up to its retracement level as well. So we know we fell for pretty much the whole year of 2022 for the NASDAQ, just like the Dow Jones did. The Dow Jones shot its way back to the retracement levels relatively quickly, not relatively, very quickly. And then the NASDAQ's been creeping its way back up very slowly. So we're getting into the concern levels for the NASDAQ at the same time now. As for gold did, like we saw, held underneath that 702 retracement back in January, pulled back. It got the breakout there in March, and getting near the all-time high, now pulling back to that retracement. It has so far found some support on there. Let's look at smaller time frames and see if we can notice anything. You do see bullish divergences that have emerged in here for gold on smaller time frames. We see it on the 4-hour time frame. We see it on the 8-hour time frame. We see it on the 12-hour time frame. Not quite on the daily. I would say it's hard to see it there on the daily, but you see it on the smaller ones on whether or not that's going to end up being a supportive level. The 4, 8, and 12 say that's got a shot at being support there, and we know that was a breakout level. Of course, with gold, if it gets into those new all-time highs and goes into its own little bull run there, not the best look for this guy as he's getting back to his retracement, and not the best look for the Dow Jones as it's back at its retracement. So we're still kind of all on the edge of our seats still, as we have been for 6 months here, with the Dow Jones hitting the 702 retracement, if you could believe it, November of last year. So we have been over 6 months at this point. I believe I was in Miami, Florida for an NFT event. Was that what I was there for? NFT Miami? Something like that in Florida back then when we hit that. And here we are. Today is the last day of May. So still, the decision and the jury is out for gold versus the stock market. One thing that's optimistic about the debt deal or what's going to happen there, right, is we do see that the 1-month yields are still pulling down. Not as dramatic as we saw yesterday. So there's more buying happening on these 1-month yields. The credit default swaps are still falling from yesterday. But let's find out a little bit on whether or not we're going to get the actual event today. The last time I saw it was supposed to be today. So stocks fell Wednesday as investors keep an eye on federal debt ceiling debate in Washington in the final trading day of May. Okay, so the deal cleared a major test Tuesday night after advancing to the House floor following a 7-6 vote in the House Rules Committee. The floor vote is expected to take place at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday. I think we have the votes to pass this today, said Republican Patrick McHenry, a GOP negotiator on the debt deal. With just Wednesday's session left in the trading month, the NASDAQ composite is up more than 6%. The S&P is up only 0.4%, while the Dow Jones is down 3.6%. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday is when we should be having the House vote. So if you're not from the United States, you essentially have 3 branches that vote on all this stuff. You have the president as one branch. You have the House of Representatives as another branch. And then you have the Senate as another branch. So the president has signed off on this deal saying he will sign it. So if he is going to sign off on it, then the Senate is likely going to sign off on it because he's in coordination with them. The president is a Democrat and the Senate is Democrat controlled. So it needs to get through this House of Representatives tonight. As long as they do it, that will mean that the Republicans do approve of it and the Republicans are okay with it. And then we get it to, then just the Senate needs to say, okay, we're good to go. And then off and away we go with more debt. So let's take a look at this one really quick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this article because I don't pay Bloomberg. The debt limit deal struck President Joe Biden and Speaker McCarthy's is heading towards a vote Wednesday in the House of Representatives after clearing crucial procedural hurdle, which is days remaining to avoid a U.S. default. They're to suspend U.S. borrowing ceiling for a period and cap federal spending. Okay, so that's what we're supposedly going to be getting this evening. So that's what we're all kind of waiting on right now. Check in one more time. Anything else important? I mean, that's the main news. So I've checked the economic calendar. There's nothing huge for today to concern about the economic calendar. Cointelegraph, AML rules. Former SEC chief warns influencers about prosecution for crypto price manipulation. That's probably towards the people who are pumping and dumping. Hey, everybody, I just bought Juju Joe Dogcoin with a market cap of $10,000. It's the next Doge, and they've already got a big bag of it. I'm gonna guess. What was I watching? I think Darren Moore, Fame 21 Moore, he did an interview with Doomberg, and they were talking about this. How it's just like so blatant how many influencers are getting in on these low cap coins and then shilling them to their audiences, and that is likely illegal. And if you haven't noticed, blockchain backer never does that to you. You know, whether it's ethical or not. I haven't been interested in prison. not my cup of tea. So Bitcoin is selling for $5K cheaper on Binance Australia as the fiat ramp closes. Okay, somebody was asking about that yesterday, or asking about AUD, right? So it sounds like, let's read about that because somebody was interested in that. There's something going on with Australia. One Bitcoin can be bought for the equivalent of $22,000 on Binance Australia if paid using Australian dollars. The problem is getting the funds there. So the move comes as traders rush to cash out their crypto holdings into Australian dollars before the door for local bank withdrawals closes in a few days. On May 18th, Binance Australia informed users that it's suspending Australian dollar services after a decision by its third-party payments provider. Deposits via bank transfer were halted immediately, while withdrawals using the PayID service are set to remain open until June 1st at 5 p.m. PayID. Man, when is the last time you saw that, guys? Remember that? And remember that with Ripple? Let's see, this will tell you if you're an OG or not. In the summer of 2020, Ripple tried to go with a PayID thing. And I kept bringing it up. I was like, you know, in Australia, they've got like a PayID thing, right? And you guys remember Ripple had to like completely scratch that and like change the name of it. And I don't even think they've done anything with it anymore. I can't remember what they renamed it to. But it was a huge thing. It was called PayID. Let me see. Hold on. We're going to look it up. Ripple PayID. There it is. Ripple forced to rebrand PayID trademark after copyright infringement lawsuit. Ripple Labs, issuer of XRP, has filed for a new trademark called PayString with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And remember, it's PayString. It used to be PayID. Okay, anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic there. So anyway, deposits via bank transfer were halted immediately, while withdrawals using the PayID service are set to remain open until June 1st at 5 p.m. The exchange has also warned its Australian clients that any Australian dollars remaining on the exchange after May 31st would be automatically converted to USDT. So anyway, somebody was asking about XRP AUD and Bitcoin AUD. It sounds more of just like this is the issue going on in there rather than anything going on in the charts. Seems it's just not really being accepted in the cryptocurrency ecosystem anymore. So, yeah, there you go. Former SEC, yep, we already did that one. CNHC, stablecoin issuer. Bitcoin risks new lows in the monthly close. Bitcoin retest 27K. XTC network gets Japanese foothold via partnership with SBI. Why is Bitcoin price up today? Why is XRP price up today? Buying a bank won't solve cryptos to banking issues. Bitcoin selling for 5K cheaper on Binance. We already saw that. NVIDIA introduces AI supercomputer to create chat GPT successors. And we'll check this out. I'm going to check this one out. Biden slips ahead of debt. What? Bitcoin. Bitcoin slips ahead of debt ceiling House vote. Republican Davidson on future of U.S. crypto regulation. Oh, you're going to make me watch a video. Sorry, guys, can't do that. Venture capital firm tried. Okay. Anyway, debt ceiling. So what's the big event today? What's the big thing going on in the news? It is debt ceiling. Set to be voted on by the House of Representatives, which is Republican controlled this evening. If it gets passed, that means you have something that's been approved by the president, which is a Democrat, and you have something that's been approved by the House of Representatives. Has the Senate already voted on it? Or does it go to the Senate last? Has Senate voted on debt ceiling bill? No, it's got to go to the House first. Right? So I don't know my stuff. So, okay. All right, XRP, right? That's why there's 1,700 people tuned in here. XRP. All right, so XRP yesterday, what a doozy, man. This is where it's a big moment, right? We're now back at retracement levels. It happened quickly, right? Just kind of creeping along, chilling. And then suddenly we get out of resistance. And then 24 hours later, we're back at the 702 retracement. So now are we going to consolidate here or are we going to break out? I've spent enough time looking at this, contemplating this. And as you guys know, when we get to these things, I can't tell you if we're going to get out of them right now. I can't tell you if we're going to get out of these. We're there. We know if you get out of them, it is your big breakout. It is your big move. But we know throughout all of history of crypto, this is the big mamma jamma. And so will it have the juice to break through here right now? That is the big question historically, right? So we go back and we say price behavior wise. So we started, when was it? It was early May. So it was about 3 weeks ago. We started talking about saying, we're not saying that we are looking for prices to keep going down, down, down as we did for March and we did for April. Once we got here, we said, start looking for signs of the bottom to start coming in. Usually, if we're going to find a support there on that 200, we're going to just consolidate, gain juice, gain strength, be like a beach ball held underwater until we completely pop out of there and break out. To head back to the retracement levels so quickly, it just it makes me nervous. You will always see me nervous back at the retracement levels because I know this is the key moment. I know this is the price level where either you break out and you go or you get rejected from these levels. And all I have to do is look to the left and say, well, what happened the last time I got to these types of retracement levels like this? Well, we got to the 618 retracement level over here. We got there very quickly and we paused out. So as we're here right now, it is just like, if you want to have the perfect unicorn, magical fairy dust, or puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, God or a simulation play out, you've reached it. You've spent enough time consolidating in here. You've gotten yourself back to the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. If you're going to insert the news, if you're going to insert the God candle, it's time for some news to come in and absolutely destroy it. Otherwise, it's just nervous here. So that's just me being completely transparent. When you are back at the retracements, it's the fingernail biting. It's the, oh my gosh, here we go. We got here. Now what? Do we get out? Because if we get out, that's where things get wild. That's how they've kind of always been. Get this off here. So for example, when we did the same thing, getting back to that 200 back here in 2020, right? It was getting back to the retracements, stalling, and then God candle, right? Now, one thing that was interesting about this time is we didn't have any news right here. We didn't have any news at all, and it just broke through the retracement levels and kept going. What you have to know about the history of XRP is I've put out a long video titled "How the SEC Hurt XRP Investors at Just the Right Time." And in the way the price behavior was acting for XRP, like, let's do this. You have to kind of understand where we were in that time. This was the life we had been living, and C19 was already happening. This is November of 2020. At this time, Bitcoin's starting to press up towards the all-time high. And then finally, we get a big breakout happen. Clearly, the price behavior had been different than what we had been seeing. We started breaking resistance. We broke resistance. We broke resistance. We broke resistance. This was the first time after just downtrending. Excuse me. For how many years? Gosh, 3 years. We finally got it, right? When in 2017, when we had something like that, excuse me one second. As you guys know, I went to the doctor's office last week to get hopefully permanently, taken off my blood pressure medication. I'm no longer taking blood pressure medication. I believe I caught myself a cough at the doctor's office. But anyway, we got the breakout in here. And throughout history, there's 2 times where XRP can go on a bull run. One of them is if Bitcoin's going back into a retrace after it's already done a bull run. And the other is if Bitcoin's breaking out into a new all-time high. Oh my gosh, you have to excuse me. I'm going to drink some water real quick. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. So the 2 times XRP historically has gone in a bull run has not been from a flip switching. It has not been from anything that has happened with Ripple. It has been always in coordination with the cryptocurrency market. And the 2 circumstances have been when Bitcoin's breaking out into a new all-time high or when it's going into a retrace. At this time, Bitcoin then starts breaking out into its new all-time high, which is the same behavior we had seen happening with XRP back here in 2017. It was just phenomenal. It was like, here we go. We're going to get it. And then what do we actually end up getting? We get the opposite. We get the SEC coming in and crushing us 5 days after Bitcoin breaks out into the new all-time high, the day after Bitcoin closes its weekly candle in the new all-time high. So 3 years, the SEC let us all hang out. We finally got our first break. And then our terrible news came at a higher price level. But we were able to get through retracement levels first, and then our news came higher. Sorry, I'm just coughing up a storm over here. So while this would be a perfect place for news to come out in here, as we're at the retracement levels in order to crack through it, we do have to remember we've seen news come at different times. We've seen it come at higher prices as well. But if you want magical unicorn fairy dust, if you want to get out, Judge Torres, I'm pretty sure you got the green light. Let's do this. If there's ever a place for the good news to come and for you to question everything about your reality, it would sure be phenomenal to see it happen after we retrace nearly the equivalent amount of time, or if we reaccumulate the same amount of time. We're within 23 days of what we did in 2015 and 2016. This has been going on for 776 days. We are now only 23 days away from it being the same amount of time. However, the thing is, we have already brushed our way back up to the retracement levels. So fingernail biting. If you're not fingernail biting at this level, you should be. This is the price level where we all know it. This is, you call it a third range boundary. Either you break through the third range boundary. Oh my gosh. Bingo. You guys. You get to the third range boundary. This is where all the resistance is. This is where all the worry should be. And that's not what, and the reason I talk like this is because that's not what retail investors typically do. They typically get the most excited at the third range boundary. But what we have to say, you get through here, oh my gosh, we're gone, right? We're gone. It's what has always happened for XRP. And it's the most common behavior in assets, especially in crypto, is to get through them and to keep going. So say your prayers, talk to your local riddlers and get them to help you. We are at the retracement levels. It's time to fight. That's really what we're at right now. We got here very quickly. I would say the concern I have about us getting there quickly is just that we didn't do a whole lot of consolidating at lower prices to gain some like strength and juju. The altcoin market hasn't exactly taken off yet to be like, hey, we're going to get slingshotted up to the altcoin market just yet. Those are little concerns I have. So if we're looking for some type of catalyst or something, I'm in the camp with you guys now. Wasn't in here, right? Wasn't that, hey, this case can end. You can go ahead and end this thing now, please. This would be a perfect time to get it and to get through there. So if you want to say, Judge Torres, for the XRP community, there's no other better day than
It is Wednesday, my
It is Wednesday.
Wednesday for it to do this. So we got to get through, guys. I mean, that's it. Are we going to pull back? I don't know. I kind of hope not. Kind of hope it breaks through so I can not have to sit here in this anxiety here. But it is what it is. The problem with pullbacks is then we start saying, well, hey, have we done the classics? Crash, retrace, reaccumulation, then you end up going. It'd be odd here this late in Wyckoff accumulation to do something like that. So insert the news. BRAD, J Taurus. I went ahead and I tagged. Hold on. Fred Rispoli. I said, hey, man, it's time now. Go ahead and get this taken care of for us. He did respond. He said, all right, I just filed a brief with the court advising of the same. Thank you. It's go time, baby. If you don't know, it's been a joke with Fred that in spaces that, it's not time for that court case to end because we're not back at a 702 retracement. We were there. There's never been a time that I've been more kind of like, okay, let's do it now because we're at the technical level to get it done. So here we are. You know where we are. Retrace back to retracement levels. All resistance sits in here. This still technically is not a breakout. This is a retracement. So if you want breakout, all retracements have to be cleared. You get through there, then we all start putting our moon hats on, and at least you get it from me that I start cheering, right? You're going to hear nervousness from me. You're going to hear consolidation concerns from me. You're going to hear all that kind of stuff from me in these boundaries, in these retracements, in the wall of worry. Get through the retracements. It then becomes breakout. It then becomes moon boy discussions, and then it becomes excitement from me. Just because that's how markets typically behave if we get through the retracements. And so we're at them. We're kind of like at the top of that boundary right now. Now we need the oomph. Now we need the juice. None of this, like we've been talking about, 2%, 3%, 5% moves happening in here. Now we need that big fat 10 or 15% candle to come in and some high volume to come in and say, out, gone. That's where we're at right now. Shermanation says Bitcoin dumping. Are we looking at the 1 minute chart? Guess so. So we've already talked about Bitcoin. Let me reiterate this again for those who are just tuning in. We all know we've been talking about this for quite some time, and we've been talking about the breakdown structure that has happened here for Bitcoin. If you haven't been watching the videos, you haven't been tuning in, you're just kind of like, I'm just trying to get the gist of what's happening here with Bitcoin. We've been tracking this for April 5th. So in 5 days, it'll be 2 months. We were expecting short squeeze, pullback, retrace, and then the capitulation move. The capitulation has held really well. It got within $500 of hitting that box after falling $4,300. And the thing that does appear apparent is that the capitulation phase of Bitcoin is over. Now it's been in like that drawn out, cruel summer accumulation phase happening in here. And we have a couple of examples to look back to say what happened after the capitulation already occurred for Bitcoin in previous examples of this. Capitulation occurs, price stops, right? Price then, let me get this one out of the way. Price then breaks out, hovers, and then finally it settles in here, but we still go through the cruel summer, right? And that's exactly how this bottom worked out here back in 2020. The more interesting one that I think it looks like we're playing out closer to was the one that we had in 2021. Still same concept, right? You see the same type of accumulation happening in here. A short squeeze to break it out. It fails and pulls back. And then we go in for that final dip. If we did get that final dip right there, that eventually actually closes out our gap here. And then what would it also do in that type of accumulation structure? Accumulating down in here, we suddenly get all that trading that happens down here at these lower prices in here. And what does that do with what we've talked about? We've talked about how we've been closing out that volume profile gap in here, right? It's been closing out. Let me show you. Indicators, profiles, fixed range profile, all the way over here. We could see that we have our empty gap of trading volume in here. Right? So we have trading volume everywhere except right there. Which you can see gives us exactly to our support levels, gives us exactly into our little range here. To get this closed out, and that gets us all right in here. So if we can pull that off, then what do you know? All that volume profile gets closed out, then off and away we can resume ourselves. So it does appear that I've went ahead and made a speculative guess. I say we get the final flush within 48 hours is my guess, and then after that, I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it to get over with. I was concerned that we'd have to sit up here for weeks on end before we could end up getting that flush. Once we have it, no apologies, bull backer all day, every day. Deal with it. So otherwise, the big thing we're watching on with XRP is just being back at those retracement levels. These can be the rejection levels. You all know it. We all now wait to see what happens in here. We get through here. It's breakout. It's go time. Then it's time to start looking to upside targets. We've now spent over a year sitting in our range. There's been no need to talk about upside targets while we are still stuck in the range. And technically speaking, we are still stuck in the range. But if we want to start talking about those types of things, the first step is to get through here. But to also recognize and do not be mistaken for the trolls out there. This is the danger level. Recognize it. That is the danger level there at the retracement levels. So it has to break out. And if it doesn't break out, these can be rejection levels. So we just have to kind of patiently wait on it. We got here relatively quickly without much consolidation. That's the concern I have, is that we got back there. So it is a perfect time for our case to come to a conclusion, to give us a little bit of a catalyst push, if you say, as we are now only 23 days away from consolidating as long as we did in 2016. How many days did that say we've been in here? We've been in here 776 days, as we were in 2015-16. Only 23 more days left in this thing to have reached the same depth and time. So if you're ready for the magical unicorn dust, you're ready for the tinfoil hat, puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, the whole case to be a simulation and planned, you got 23 days. And preferably, how about right now? How about right now? So that's where we're at. Now it's all about the retrace, guys. We're waiting for breakout. Either we're going to find some serious resistance right here, or we get the real breakout. This is not a breakout. I understand it's exciting. You got, 5% per day, 3% per day, and then we get back here. This isn't a breakout. Don't be convinced that it is. This is the typical place where retail excitement returns. This is where all hope has returned, but it's not a breakout. The breakout comes just slightly higher, getting to about 55. So we get to 55, then we're gone. I think my thoughts are 55 and we can go. It's no longer, and this thing looks huge. It looks big. That's an 10% move. You know it when we have the big moves. We can do 30% moves per day. Right? There's 32% in a day. This is only 10%. This isn't like breakout craziness. This is back to retracements. This is back to this baby moves. If you're not fingernail biting, I don't know what to tell you. You should be. You should be fingernail biting here. Settle the case, gentlemen and ladies. Release the files, Taurus, please. Please, Mr. Judge Taurus. Your Honor. All due respect. We're dying over here, okay? We've been dealing with this for 2.5 years. Let's give us some glory, please. All right, let's hop into the chat. Let's take a look at it again. So Bitcoin, that's still the thoughts. My guess, within 72 hours, we get the final flush that marks the low. If the low isn't already in, just kind of one of these little suckers right in here. Just give us our final little flush that'll mark the low, or one of these bad boys to finally get us closed out of that green box in there. I think we're within 48 hours of that actually happening. And once we do, every video, I believe, will be bull for me from there on out. As for the stock market, a little bit more mixed, so that's good. Down 200 points for the Dow Jones. So Dow Jones down 227, down 0.69%. The S&P down 24 points, down 0.5%. The NASDAQ down 38 points, 0.2%. You got a few more in the green up in here, but you do have a little bit more of a spread for those in the red. NVIDIA, Ford, GE in the red. Roblox, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, United Health, Netflix in the green over here. Yields still kind of unchanged. The 1 month yield, where are you? A 1 month yield is taking more of a push down as we get closer to that vote that will be tonight for the debt ceiling in the House of Representatives. If that passes, that means the Republicans sign off on it. You already got the president who has agreed that he'll do it. He's a Democrat. Then it gets over to the Senate, which is Democrat controlled as well. So then we get on our way. But that's all the main news today is dealing with the debt ceiling, which happens at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time this evening is when the vote does. So this will be a nighttime thing. We find out about it. Then I guess maybe tomorrow or something it goes to the Senate. I'm not really sure. We'll find out. Otherwise, there you go. All right, let's hop into the chat. Happy Wednesday, guys. We're halfway through the week. Carlos Fernandez, Frog Day, bro. BCB, El Numero 1. Thank you so much, Carlos. Chris Long, member for 39 months. Geez, I didn't even know it's been around that long. It's 3.5 years. My dude, hit the like button. That's crazy. Thank you, Chris. Hit the like button, Chris says. I agree. Andy Philpott gifted 10 blockchain backer memberships. Andy, dude, thank you, man. Unreal. Jorge Rodriguez. Or George Rodriguez. For Super Chat, first timer, no message, but usually no message. You just kind of struggled on the first time and you'll show up here in a minute. Thank you, George or Jorge. Brandon said, second time Super Chat, Wednesday, baby. Question. When the time comes to sell bags, would you use KuCoin, Coinbase, or Uphold? Must choose one. Thanks. Well, the problem with KuCoin is I don't believe KuCoin is a fiat off-ramp. That's your problem. Problem with Uphold is going to take like 2.5% of your sell. So if you don't know, Uphold is not actually an exchange, right? Uphold is actually like a middleman, right? Uphold is like, hey, you give me your money, I'll go to an exchange, I'll buy the crypto on the exchange, and then I'll give you the crypto. But we're not an actual exchange. You know what I'm saying? Coinbase, right? Good fiat on and off ramp, publicly traded company. All the flaws that Coinbase has, but fiat on and off ramp. Problem is, Coinbase doesn't have XRP. So, man, I don't know if there's a perfect answer. For me, it's multiples. It's definitely not one. And your question says must choose one. I guess my only choice logically there is it has to be Uphold. It's the only one that's a fiat on and off ramp of XRP for United States. So it's not really a choice. It's actually I'm kind of forced into that corner, but that's not a preference choice. But okay, moving on. Craig. I'm not sponsored by any exchanges. I don't have any affiliate links to any exchanges. I'm not promoting or encouraging anybody to use any of those exchanges. Full disclaimer. Not sponsored by anybody. I can say whatever the heck I want. I do love that. I do love that I don't have to push any kind of narrative to satisfy anybody. I just say whatever the heck I want. All right. Thank you, Brandon. Craig Tilbury says, hey, BCB, yesterday I changed my Twitter profile picture from private backer to 702 battle. Nice. Looking forward to the day when I can change it to Moonchill. Oh, man. Please. Loving the content as always. That's awesome, Dad. I think you're the first one I've heard of who've used it as their PFP. That's awesome, Craig. Yeah, that's kind of telling the story, right? Right now we are at the 702 battle. And yeah, you're right. We just came out of private backer. They all told a story. I'm sure people did realize that. There was a lot of thought put into all of those. Those were not just, hey, let's put a banana in one hand and glasses and a cigarette and change out a nose ring and sell an NFT collection. It was lots of thought, lots of work, on different things. So cool, man. Whiskey 2. Like the video. It's a secret button. You can get the song to play if you hit it or take a few minutes. Yes. 1,900 people, 600 likes. Let's go. Pat Kaya says, hey, BCB, do you think your summer, the market will still be reasonably lackluster despite what's happening at the moment? Most of the market is lackluster. You do have XRP like working back to a retrace, but for the most part, the whole market is very lackluster right now. It's not very exciting. And this would corroborate a continued boring summer for sure. So yeah, my thoughts are still that. The big question is, does XRP have the juice to really break out of here? That's what we have to find out. If XRP gets through the retracement levels, then it doesn't appear that it's going to be a boring summer for XRP if it can get through here, because this is how breakouts happen. You can look through all of XRP's breakouts that we've had. When they get through that 702, it's adios. But right now we're there and we don't know. If it rejects from here, then yeah, you got a cruel summer ahead for XRP. If this is a rejection off of the retracement levels, as it was a rejection at higher levels, right? Right? This was a rejection at retracement levels. Then it was a cruel time period. If you're going to have that happen here, Cruel. But the thing is, right? So like what's so surprising about getting back here so quickly is that you don't usually do that this deep into Wyckoff. You don't usually just go back to a 702 and then go on and have another leg down right in here. It's not, I don't know if I can reference back to any Wyckoffs that I've seen. So that's a challenge that people can try to undertake right now. Can you find any Wyckoff accumulations where, and I'll just give you a quick brief because I've already recorded this video for the new BC Backer course whenever it comes out, hopefully late June. But in Wyckoff accumulation, you essentially have specific phases that happen in here. You have your selling climax with your secondary test, and then your automatic rally. Then you have a secondary test pulling back again. We get back up, and then you head into your final phase of accumulation. So let me take all this off the screen. But the way to really think about it, it's almost like this big W that shows up in here, or a triple W in here. And this is the part where things, there's multiple things that can happen in here. You have something called a spring phase, where you aggressively fire to the lows, or you have something just called a last point of support, where it is just kind of grinding along, grueling along, and usually pretty boring until it breaks out and goes. We've done all the phases perfectly of Wyckoff accumulation. Our secondary test held higher than our selling climax and our initial secondary test. The thing that happens here is where you either have the last point of support or you have the aggressive spring. And good luck trying to figure out which one's going to happen, because they can happen differently in different circumstances. For example, in 2014 and 15, I don't want to delete all that. Okay, in 2000 and let's go back. We'll put on the daily time frame. This is your classic Wyckoff accumulation for Bitcoin back in 2015, right? So here's your kind of W. You have your selling climax, automatic rally, secondary tests, and then we go in for spring phase. So aggressive spring and attempt to break down through the lows. You can move over here to 2018, and we actually have the other version. So we have our selling climax with our automatic rallies and our secondary tests. And then instead, we have the last point of support phase. Rather than an aggressive spring, we have the last point of support. So rather than wham, notice how much higher we hold on our last point of support. So these are the challenges in Wyckoff accumulation in your final phase to go here. In how this last point of support or this spring phase will play. And that's in all the text. It's not PCB making something up. Go read all the text. You'll see all of this. And so the thing that we get at here is we say, okay, have we ever seen a time in the last point of support or in the spring phase that would fire all the way back up to the retracement level and then go set a new low? I cannot think of any time I've ever seen one do it ever. Right? Because when you get back here, I mean, that's the first thing that has to be the concern, right? When you get back to the retracement level, at least in my mind, I say, okay, we're now at a point where we break out, we go, it gets crazy, it gets exciting, or we get rejected here, or we have to stall here, but this is the big spot where everything just kind of gets stalled out at. And the first thing, you know, like most people, right, you go through, well, what's the worst case scenario, right? Well, worst case scenario, you think, all right, well, you know, you kind of look at what happened here for Bitcoin off the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it fires all the way back up, and it goes back into retracement levels and fails and goes into new lows. So you think to yourself, all right, well, we just kind of did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We come back into retracement levels. Oh gosh, are we going into new lows? But then you think to yourself, well, you have to realize the context that we're at, right? So the context is we're deep into this. It's not like when we were up here, right? We've pulled back that 85.5%. It's what we did back in 2015, 16, 17. We pulled back the 85%. We're deep into Wyckoff accumulation. So then you say, okay, well, I do recognize we're not coming off of some big major trend upward. We're not like following that. We don't have a market that's been euphoric and then now it's pulling all the way back down. This market is worried and concerned. Does that seem logical? I would say no, because I have never seen in Wyckoff accumulation where you go set new lows like that, where you either have the last point of support phase, the final phase of accumulation, or you have a spring phase. And I've never seen it where we go, hey, let's go down, then let's go back to a retrace, and then let's go down one more time like that. And that's not what happens. So it has to be that my thoughts, we either are breaking out now, or it's just going to waddle in here. But I can't, it's hard for me to imagine a spring phase still coming after this, right? So I think that's the thing. If you guys can find a Wyckoff last point of support or a Wyckoff spring phase that goes into new lows, I haven't seen any. I just haven't seen any. That it has to mark that as being the low. You're kind of watching my wheels turn live in front of 1,900 people. But it is just bizarre to head all the way back up to retracements and this not eventually turn into a breakout. But you have to recognize that's the danger, right? That's the problem. That's the danger. So, fingernail biting every day, every night. I had all my alarms set. I had alarms on my phone. I had alarms on my computer. If this thing breaks out, run to your computer, run to your computer. But it did stall. So we saw that. Peak excitement, and then it did stall. So just, you know, we are not broken out. We are not breaking out. Dude, what is the deal? What is up with bingo? Oh my gosh. All right, somebody explain the bingo thing to me. Somebody explain it. All right, we'll get back in the chat. I'm going to wait for someone to explain bingo in chat. All right, so we got Andy, George, we got Brandon, second time in the super chat. Welcome. Craig changed his profile picture. Whiskey says, like the video. Pat Cal, member, says, hey, BCB, do you think you're the summer of the market? Cruel summer. Okay, Mr. Nobody. Hey, BCB, what's your new buy range for XRP after its deviation? Since the wave 5 should still be 535 despite the higher prices. Right, so your question right there was a 535, right? So, wait. Right. So your question is, shouldn't it still be a 535? Here's the problem. Do you see 3 here? So here's what a 535 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, which is ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is technically what you call a 535 correction. Here's a problem. Do you see the 3 here? Do you see an ABC here? I don't, right? I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? I don't see an ABC in here. But I know on XRP, right? And it's so funny because I actually just recorded an Elliott Wave video yesterday. What we're talking about in Elliott Waves is that in XRP, you could be tricky with Elliott Waves too, especially when we get onto smaller time frames. Like when we, so the concept of Elliott Waves really fast, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that in E, and then you ABC, right? That is the concept of Elliott waves, and that we have impulsive waves and corrective waves. And that within each wave, we actually end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. And in each corrective wave, we have ABCs. And then when we get even into more micro time frames, we have the same thing still happening in here. Is that even in these, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in here, we have ABCs. And that's your concept of Elliott waves the whole way up. And we have super cycles, sub waves, minutes, and it gets super, super small and super micro. And like if in crypto, we'll notice we could see the big waves happening, right? A lot of times we can see them on the big scales. For example, Solana. Pretty clear, right? It's pretty obvious. Pretty obvious in there. But it's, and then, you know, you can kind of count these too happening in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count these happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's then when we start getting really micro, when we start getting into the really smaller ones and we get into really tiny ones, suddenly things kind of start falling more apart. That like counting the waves exactly, you start to get more subjective. And that is a problem with Elliott waves. It's one of the reasons we don't bring it up too much on this channel. Everybody considers themselves an Elliott wave perspective, Elliott wave expert. Everyone thinks they have their count right and everyone else's count is wrong. And a lot of people just have the rules wrong on Elliott wave. And that some Elliott wave rules do get violated in crypto, and they actually get violated quite often. In particular, though, there's 2 waves that get mistaken the most in crypto. And it's one that if you read the text will tell you very specifically, wave 1 and wave 4 can never cross each other. It's in the text everywhere. You'll see it everywhere, no matter where you go. Hard rule, you can't have it. Baloney, man. In crypto, you'll see it all the time. You just absolutely see it all the time in crypto. Wave 1 will cross wave 4. For example, let's go back and look at Bitcoin really fast. Anybody who considers themselves an Elliott wave expert and who says that wave 1 and wave 4 cannot cross each other, give me the count for Bitcoin and the ABC correction here, and then give me the count of Bitcoin in the ABC correction in 2014. And no matter what your count is, you're going to have 1 intersect 4 in here, no matter what on the A wave. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to have 1 overlap 4 in here. And no matter what your count is in here, on the 2018 correction ABC, wave 1 and wave 4 are going to interact with each other. So it's almost a lose-lose battle to bring Elliott waves up on the channel, because so many people consider themselves experts and they've all read the same rules and they think that rule can never be violated. It can be violated in crypto. We see it happen all the time. The other most common violation, the most common incorrect thing I see in crypto when it comes to Elliott waves and all the reply boys, is the rule they always say is wave 3 has to be the longest wave. It has to be the biggest wave. And there's probably somebody listening to this right now saying, yep, that's true. That is the rule. No, it's not. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest wave. So there is a difference between it being the longest wave and it being the shortest wave. That is still a valid Elliott wave, with wave 3 not being the longest. Wave 1 is, but the rule is it can't be the shortest. So technically speaking, you could even be like that, right? So long as wave 3 is not the shortest. So your question is on a 535, right? So we're going to go back. Now we're going to go back to XRP. I lost my XRP. There we go. In general, what would we call this? I'm going to take everything off the screen. What would we call this? We'd probably call this an ABC correction. I think we can all agree on that. That's, technically what we also had happen in here, right? ABC correction happens, sideways consolidation, then we move on and we go. Even in here on ABC correction, what do we have in here? Again, there's the violation of the rule happening one more time. Your first wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 4 crosses above 1. Oh no, it can't do that. That's not allowed. That makes it not an Elliott wave. Well, then what is it, right? What is it at this point? So we will see that rule violated in crypto all the time. And then it fires all the way up, right? So then your question is, okay, well, that's kind of what we did here, right? Here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go back to retracement levels. It's still technically ABC, right? It's still technically a 5, 3, 5, and we can still do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's correct. He's correct. Problem is, we don't have like an ABC in here. And the other problem is the context of where we're at, right? We're not like in uptrend here, right? This low isn't our low of the market. Our low of the market is back here. We're in ranging context. We're not in uptrend. We're in ranging behavior. And we're in either spring or we're in last point of support of Wyckoff accumulation. So it seems incredibly unlikely to do that from here. But if anybody is even considering laying their guard down while we're back at these retracement levels, you're naive or you're just not paying attention. That's just going to be real talk. Naive or not paying attention to anything that's ever been said or anything that has ever happened in this market. If your guard is completely laid down here, crazy, because of where we're at. The only thing that would tell me it would seem so odd to go on and do another 5 waves down for a C leg to have a 5-3-5 ABC correction in here is, man, show me an example of it ever happening. If you don't know about technical analysis, and what technical analysis is we're essentially going through the past and finding what has a statistically high hit rate. So what all of it is, we wouldn't use fibs if they didn't have a statistically higher hit rate. You wouldn't use moving averages. You wouldn't use Bollinger Bands. You wouldn't use relative strength index, moving average convergence, divergence, MACD, stochastic RSI. You wouldn't use trend lines. You wouldn't use bear pennants, bull flags. You wouldn't use head and shoulders. You wouldn't use anything unless there was a statistical hit rate throughout the past to say there's a probability of this happening because it's statistically occurred more often than it doesn't throughout history, right? The psychology of the market, buyer behavior has a tendency to react this way at particular times. Or the bots, the algorithms, the market makers that work on this particular trading pair have a tendency to act this particular way when price behavior is doing this particular thing. I cannot, off the top of my head, and a lot of times you guys can see me, people comment and say, man, it's a magic how you flip through the charts so fast. If I had a reference to go back in a last point of support or in a spring phase to go on and show an asset going back to a 7/2 retracement and then going down into a spring afterwards, I would go find it and say, look, it's statistically improbable. Like, we can show 100 different times where it doesn't do this, but here is this one time where it did. I don't have that one time to go back and show that. So I challenge anybody to find it because I would love to see it if it did. But I don't have anything to pull back on to say that we would go set a new low after that. That you would hold the 200 after a capitulative move in the Wyckoff spring or last point of support, right? It has 2 different names. It can either be LPS or it can be spring. They're variants of the last phase of Wyckoff accumulation, where you go back to a retracement level and then go set the new low afterwards. I don't have any references of that to ever show that happening. So I'm optimistic here, but not naive enough to say, I recognize where we are. We're there. right? Check out watch the YouTube intro. You see the character, he gets back to the 702 and he's like, right? And then finally, boom, he breaks out and he's cool. But back at it, that's just the behavior, right? Worry that we're here, high anticipation, we're on that moment. It's like you reject, or is it go time? And of course, we in the XRP community have felt the disappointment way more often than not. And there's almost this protection mechanism you put up a little bit to say, don't hurt me anymore. I've laid down my heart for you too many times, and all you do is break it. So we've got to get through here. Is just the moral of the story. We're at the retracement. I mean, that's impressive in the first place, but boy, it's got to get through it. So, all right, boy, I rambled there for a long time. Oh, I never even answered your question. What's my buy range? Right. So, I said I'd throw some more money in. I'd buy up to 20% more of my bag. It's only down here if we get it. If this thing takes off and goes, I don't care. Go. But I would only grab it in this area down in here. And so the fact that we got all the way to the retrace, I'm not even confident we'll even get down there now. This is where all things can happen from here, man. And I'm waiting for more price action to play out now that we're back here. This is the price where you develop a new range, you develop a new behavior, or you go in for full-blown breakout. So if it gets down here and if it gets offered in those 40s, I'll take it. Not confident fully that it will, but if it gets offered, I'll add. I'm not desperate to add, right? I've been accumulating XRP for 5 years. If it wants to get on its way, just, dear God, please. Jarrett4 says, charts used to hurt my brain. Now they look like little stories I can read. Thanks, Dad. Can't wait to see how the story ends. Yeah, I always try to explain things in a way that hopefully most people can understand. I try not to use too many big words. If it is a big word, it's a word I'll just make up. Capitulative. I don't think that's a real word. I think I made that up. Somebody's going to tell me, no, that's a real word. Thank you, Jackson. Juan Nguyen says, thanks for all you do, brother. God bless you and your family. Let's ride this moon together. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Copper Kuru, first timer. So yesterday you said you were going to look around the market and see if you wanted to nibble on anything. Did you find anything too tempting to resist? No, not yesterday. Bitcoin's given us a little bit of a move. Let's go see what's going on here, Bitcoin. Yeah, I said within 48 hours. It looks like we're just not even going to wait the 48. Maybe. Because it's already started. No, I mean, I have a little list, but the dang truth is, man, I got my list, where I'm I speculate too. I'm like, oh, there's this new coin where it's hey, man, everybody's hyped. It's already got 1 million followers on Twitter. It's only been out for a month. Maybe it's going to be the next cool thing. Maybe it'll be 2023 Solana or something, right? And you got other stuff that's building really big solid bases that look good too. But everything in me, every time I throw $1 in something else, I think to myself, should have just gone in here. Show me one chart in crypto that has that going for it. And something that's just been held down with the potential for clarity coming up. There's nothing in the market like this. So while there may be a few dollars thrown around here and there at other stuff, this is my primary focus. This is where everything is focused on this guy. And if something does happen where Bitcoin catches a bid before XRP does, before XRP can get through those retracement levels, if Bitcoin can get up near 40K or something like that before XRP can get out of here, I'll probably dump my Bitcoin and put it in here. At least that's where my thoughts are right now. This is like my number one focus right now. XRP. But no, yesterday I didn't. I don't think yesterday I was too distracted by XRP. I think I even pay attention to anything. Good call, Ryan. Let's show support and like the video. He always drops free knowledge for us. Thank you, Ryan. Here's a good question. Ross Ramsey says, if XRP doesn't hit your buy zone before go time, will you buy a different asset with those funds, like Zcash or Dash? No. Unlikely. I mean, I had a specific allocation, right, of what I would put into XRP, what I'd put into other stuff. I'm not like, dude, I've been in this market, or Rose, sorry, ma'am. I'm too used to it. 96% of this audience is men. But I absolutely appreciate the ladies listening to the show. I've been in this market a long time. I've accumulated a long time. I'm not desperate to just throw more money into the market worth where I'm at. Been here long enough. I buy dips. I buy lows. The market doesn't get carried away from me. The market doesn't run away without me because I'm always scooping at the lows. And anybody who's followed me since 2019 knows this is how I'm always doing. I'm always chipping away at it with little buys here and there, grabbing it, and given it enough time, it stacks up over time. So the market hasn't gotten away from me. And I'm not like desperate to FOMO throw money in just because we get a ride up that I feel it has to go somewhere else. I think the market will do fine in a Bitcoin retrace, altcoins all moving up together. I think it will. The concern I have is like what we saw in 2021, where like in 2017, you threw all your money at the top 10, boom, everything went. If you put $10,000 into the market in 2015 at the bottom of the market, and you just bought the top 10, you were a multimillionaire come 2017. $1,000 in XRP would have turned into over $5 million. That wasn't the case for 2021, right? You threw $10,000 at the top 10. No, not the case. So we have a different dynamic in the market. Was that, other factors at play? This is the thing trying to figure out, right? Studying developer data, underlying data. There are other symptoms happening. It's real funny to go back and read all these developer reports and see EOS in them. The newcomers of 2021 probably don't know that about EOS. You go read all these reports. EOS was doing more transaction volume than like Ethereum. It was doing more transactions per second. Dollar value, it was like number 3. Total dollars transferred over EOS every day. Cardano was like a piece of junk in comparison to EOS. Now you view Cardano as much higher than EOS, right? And it sat in those top 5 for several years. Now it's at like 49 or 50 or something, but it sat there in the top 5 for years, just underneath XRP. You had like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, EOS, and Bitcoin Cash. Those were your top 5. That clearly was not the dynamic for 2021. You didn't have XRP, EOS, or Bitcoin Cash in your top 5 going to new all-time highs. So desperately just throwing dollars at the market to chase something into a retrace is not something I'm too interested in doing. I have like a stupid amount of crypto. I don't need to throw money at it, and I don't find there's like speculative plays I have that I'm interested in, like some of the newer stuff that has come out because of what we saw in 2021. But the problem with those is they're very hard to measure, and that's not something I like taking a lot of risk on when I can't do any type of measuring on it. For example, that SUI coin, SUI, that just came out, there is a tremendous amount of hype on it. I've got a little bit of it, but is that going to be the next new hyped coin, right? And if it is, sweet, great. How do you measure it, right? How do you measure something like that? It's hard. But, as for coins that, and privacy, I don't have to, like your questions about Dash and Zcash. I have enough privacy coins. I don't need to throw money into privacy coins. I'm fully oversubscribed to privacy, and it feels like being oversubscribed to like security alarm stocks. You're like, yeah, dude, everybody's gonna want security alarms because nobody wants to get broken into. And while that's true, and people do find security and home security important, people don't typically care about it until something actually happens to them. That's like the only mental conclusion I can come to this of people being like, yeah, we're going to use Bitcoin. Yeah, the government and my neighbor and criminals can watch what I do with my money, but no, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. But I think it's like the similar as like a security alarm. You don't care until something happens. So, no, I have exposure to privacy. Don't be fooled. But no, I'm not going to be buying those. Charts that are luring to me, things that are luring to me are things that still have developer growth, right? So, I can name off stuff that has still had developer growth that is interesting. So things that like had a lot of developer growth, and I'll name these, and it does not mean I'm buying them, but if you want to get out your pen and write these down, which ones have had developer growth over the course of the last year and have had developer growth since December after the FTX collapse, still heading through 2023, what has still had developer growth? I'll tell you, most things have had developer decline, but the ones that have had developer growth have been Osmosis, Optimism, that SUI network, SUI, Basic Attention Token, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the Graph, Flow. Somebody asked me about Flow yesterday. Cardano. Cosmos, slightly down, but one of the slighter ones down. However, still up year over year. Otherwise, it's outside of that, probably not too much down there. I don't have year over year numbers for Hedera or for XRP. I don't have the numbers from since December. However, both of them were year over year up. So hopefully you caught all that, or you're going to have to watch the replay. I'm going to obviously have to edit this live stream today because if you missed the very beginning of it, like an awesome DJ, I left myself on mute. So the first minute of the video, it's muted. So if there's a problem with the video for like the first hour or two after release, it's because I'm having to edit out that minute of silence in the beginning, and then the video or the live stream will be released again later. But yeah. So hopefully you caught those names. Those are the ones with developer growth. Those in the last bull run, right? So while in 2015 and 2016, if you would have accumulated the top 10, you would have been a millionaire in 2017. However, in 2018, 19, and 20, if you accumulated the top 10, would not have been the case. So what were the things that tended to be important with growth in an asset price? It seemed that one of the elements, while not always a guarantee to be that it was going to, it seemed your odds increased on if you bought 10, your chances were a little bit better if you focused on what was having developer growth happening within it. And those were ones that were growing. Someone said, you're sleeping on Stellar Lumens. Okay, let's go check out Stellar Lumens developer growth. Uh-oh. Stellar, I don't have since December, but year over year, down 24% and down to 26 developers. Drop the beat. All right, 1,826 people in here, 911 likes. That's not satisfying enough. And for that, there's about 100 people here who need to be punished and get angry and say, I'm out of here. But for the other 1,700, let's go.
It is
Wednesday, my It is Wednesday, dudes.
Fun fact. I always laugh at that. It always does get people to leave. It's like 100 people to bail out of here every time I play the song, which is totally fine. And you wouldn't believe it. On Wednesdays, I usually lose like 50 subscribers these days. Who cares? Get out of here. We don't need you. Wednesdays are fun. All right, back into the chat. I'm so far behind. Thank you, Rose. It's Ross. Oh my gosh. Then I start calling you Rose and I start saying, hey, you're a lady. And your name's Ross the whole time. You're a bro. Ross, I apologize. I need to turn this monitor a little bit. Hey, we hit 1,000 likes. Let's go. All right, Blockfella, Mr. Blockzilla, BCB, La Cabra. Do you think the debt ceiling deal could be a buy the rumor, sell the news from today? God bless everybody. Hit that like. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Yeah, well, I mean, look, here's the deal. You ain't worried about that with the stock market. That's when my wife would kill me right there. It isn't. You aren't. If you aren't concerned about the stock market here, if you aren't concerned about the stock market right here, and you're just saying, like, if you are just an intermittent, if like literally your entire financial, and I'm not saying this about you, Blockfella, I'm saying it because there are a lot of people like this. When your question is triggering it to be addressed, is that there are a lot of people who their entire financial view of the world is on memes. And it is on that Jerome Powell printer money thing. Money's flying out, the printer starting up, memes. And that the debt ceiling lifted. And if on June 14th, the Fed pauses, turns back into like their financial world is printer go brr, assets go up, right? And then the complications underneath the hood of what will happen with the dynamic, at least short term. The thing about buying the rumor is that, yeah, the rumor is like, okay, it might be a couple of days. And like, there's no real buying today, right? There's no buy the rumor today before it. And it's been nothing but kind of downtrending leading up to that moment. So I don't think there's really been a buy the rumor situation, except for obviously you have the different aspect of the NASDAQ moving to the upside. But it's a net kind of break even in the markets in here. And this is really consolidated to just a few assets that have been ripping up higher, really kind of bigger mega caps. I think the breadth, saw something on the breadth of the market that the majority of the market is not going up. And I think that there's more complications to the debt ceiling and on how that debt's going to be funded, right? Where's the money going to come from? Who's going to buy the bills? Where's the liquidity going to come from? Is anything else going to suffer from liquidity, right? So that's actually, like, today is actually newsletter day, right? So anybody who's been in bcbacker.com, there was a monthly update. Today is the last day of the month. That's what I always do. And then last day of the month, we get a newsletter. And so today, we're going to be sexily talking, sexily, right? That's a word, right? Sexily talking about the debt ceiling and the liquidity complications with that as we get through this moment. And it's something I would probably normally never write about, but I do know that the perception of the market is printer go burr when debt ceiling raises and printer go burr if Fed pauses, right? And how that might be a misconception. And we'll kind of talk about that in today's video, right? Bingo, sexily. All right, moving on. Yeah, I think it's going to be more complicated than the typical retail investor view of printer go burr. Brandon, the importance of Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. How are we doing? Still sitting there. this has really been the insanity of Bitcoin dominance for over 2 years. It's unreal. Right? So this was 2018. Right? This is crazy. This was peak market. Yeah. Let's see. You got bear divergences happening from that top, which is crazy. Are we really going to keep going in here? This has been, for the Bitcoin dominance bulls and for the Bitcoin dominance bears, the biggest thorn in both sides. We always talk about that. I've talked about it in a while. I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they were expressing frustration, and they were saying, like, why does everybody have to be like either bullish or bearish? Why can't like we just be like team sideways? It's like, well, nobody wins in team sideways. We just keep going. Nobody wants that. Everybody chooses a side. Everybody picks a bias, but everybody's wrong in team sideways. So that's just what it's been the whole time. So literally 2 years in the range, waiting. Nothing yet. Only the accumulators win. There you go, Gator. Team sideways. All right. Thank you, Brandon. Crypt Keeper, are you still buying under 65 cents? Should we break out? I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens with my FOMO. We'll see. I'm not FOMOing here. Telling you that. Not FOMOing. When we were heading towards it last night, it was a big, all right, what are we doing? And then we've stepped back. If we go up and stab at it again, I'll be like, oh my gosh, here we go. What are we doing? But it is like the number one thing I've tried to teach on this channel. Like the number one thing out of all things is that retail gets panic worried at the bottom, and then retail gets YOLO FOMO'd at retracements. They always do. And if anybody watching right now, if you have an emotional log, this is a perfect place to input it in here if you are feeling FOMO. If you are feeling FOMO right here, it's a perfect time to input that into your log. So Crypt Keeper, I don't know. I don't think so. You gotta know, man. Like I've been through the C19 crash, man. I've been through the SEC crash. I bought all those dips, man. When the world was ending, I was buying the dip. When Coinbase was delisting, I was buying the dip. It's time for me to get paid, not time for me to be throwing money in. Like I'm so exposed to crypto. I don't think people realize that how much money I have exposed to crypto. I mean, it's a lot of my net worth, man. I would say it's like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of my net worth is in crypto, maybe a third. I don't know. All right, Bruce B. And then not only that, just like all my time and my equity and sweat equity and effort is put into crypto too. Bruce B. Welcome as a backer, dude. Welcome, Bruce B. Thank you. Bruce B. It's rude of me. Bruce, thank you. JJ Melch. First timer, no message, man, but generous. Thank you very much. JJ, then gifts 5. What is going on? And then still no message. First timer. Oh, wait. Yeah, first time super chatter, then gifts 5 blockchain backer memberships and doesn't say anything. Dude, thank you. Crypto Crandall says, hey, BCB, I'm in my 20s and considering rotating out of my precious metal stash into XRP. Can you help me look at precious metals versus crypto? Ugh. Crazy, bro. See, well, the problem is, I'm just going to say this. I don't really want to help you with that. So, you know, I'm a precious metals guy myself, but I understand the two, right? Like, one of them is just like a store of value. One of them is just like chill. Problem is you probably bought it if you're in your 20s. What have you done? You've probably FOMO'd twice. Here is what's happening here. You probably FOMO'd in the Wall Street bet stuff into metals. You probably overpaid on your premiums for your metals. You're now going to sell them for significantly less because there was no crazy short squeeze that you were sold by the Wall Street silver people. While they were probably also pitching you to buy minor stocks that they were getting paid to shill to you. Now you're like, okay, this isn't doing what I want. I'm going to go ahead and take a big loss on my metals. And I'm going to now go after XRP, which just had this pump today. And I'm FOMOing here. I'm not a financial advisor. You can do whatever the heck you want, brother. But if I just described exactly what happened to you, dude. Yeah. The thing about metals, right? So the way I think about metals, if you're going to like buy metals, like buy like SLV in a brokerage account, dude, it's like just like get in and out. But like as a metal stacker, as a silver stacker for so long, gold, platinum, all of it, just doing this for so long, I know how much new people overpay. They overpay on their premiums. And then you take a loss, and I've described this on the channel before too. It's why, even though this is a crypto channel, I've made like YouTube videos discussing how to buy silver for cheaper. And I was talking about this website called Find Bullion Prices. I'm not sponsored by them in any way. Those videos are my worst performing videos when I ever put them out. But I put them out because I'm just passionate about it, and it totally doesn't pertain to my audience. My audience is like, hey, crypto, stay in your lane, BCB. I'm like, no, we're talking about silver, dang it. And I'll put it out, and the video will get like 5,000 views, right? Which is very underperforming for my normal stuff, but I still do it. And the videos that I put out are how to buy it and how to avoid those premiums, because the biggest thing that always happens to new people is they just massively get hosed in the silver and gold market. They go run and buy silver eagles, American silver eagles. They pay $40 an eagle when spot price is $23. Then they go back to sell them, and they get half the price of what they originally paid for them. And that investment just went totally south for them. So, you know, hopefully you've thought that through, if that's what you want. I don't think it really matters on, you know, comparing crypto to your precious metals investment. Crypto has just massively outperformed precious metals in general. Just over the course of the last 10 years, it's just destroyed it. Right. So you have to say, you know, that's just is what it is. The big debate now, which we bring up here on the channel all the time, the big debate is who's going to win this battle? Who's going to win between gold, and who's going to win between the Dow, gold and the Dow Jones? If gold beats, if the Dow rejects here, if the Dow rejects at the 702 retracement and goes into a plunge, and if gold breaks out into new all-time high, you're going to massively regret that decision that you just made. Because crypto in general doesn't fall. It doesn't go along. And, you know, I'm curious if your thought is, hey, I had this like long-term thought process. I'm going to buy metals. I'm going to hold on to them. I'm going to stack them for forever. But I think XRP is going to pump really quick for the next 30 days. So I'm going to sell all of my metals, and I'm going to go chase into XRP for just a minute. Normally, I don't care when people say that, but I'm passionate about metals. I am like a nerd with coins. I think a lot of people know that. I even have like a secondary channel where I'll like find a coin that has a W mint mark on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what I have. So it's like, you do what you want to do, bro. It's something I could never do because it would just break my heart. But, you know, crypto in general has outperformed metals over the last decade. You go do that. I don't know if I'm going to entertain it too much because it's just, it goes against me so bad. I can't do it, my dude. Do whatever you want. The problem is this is their big fight in here on what you have. Otherwise, there's no point in even measuring metals versus crypto. Crypto has slaughtered metals for the last decade. It's just fact. All right. Thank you, Crypto Crandall. Emily Oliver, thank you so much. Howdy. First timer. Thank you, Emily. Or Emil. It might be Emil. Jack, new member. Thank you, Jack. PSI Clown. Thoughts on Hex retracing back up. Super wiggly. Yeah, so I don't understand the dynamics of what's going on with Hex. So I've looked at it. Don't get me wrong. I've looked at it. I also don't understand all of the dynamics with Pulse Chain and PLS and the copied ERC20 tokens onto the Pulse Chain network and the copies of Hex onto the Pulse Chain network, and whether or not there's like more demand now for a PLS version of Hex or the ERC20 version of Hex. So I don't know like enough about that topic to know if one of them is the real one now and one of them isn't. And if like, is the original ERC20 version of Hex getting abandoned and it's now going to the PLS version? I don't know. So I don't know. It's taken a huge crumble on itself, but I don't know if that's temporary or if that's because they're like migrating over to a PLS version of Hex. So you have to kind of understand that better. I don't know, man. I don't know. Thank you, PSI Clan, though. Sebastian Barros. Good morning, everyone. Joining the stream after some work meetings. How are things doing in crypto world, my guy? Happy Froggy Day. Happy Froggy Day, Sebastian. Welcome to Wednesday. We're having a good day over here. I'm thinking we're getting ready for that final little flush that we talked about earlier in the week or last week. I don't know. Time's a blur. But XRP, the big fight. Sick Thinker, dude, out the gates, man. 5. Thank you so much. JJ, appreciate Sick Thinker, a supporter of the channel like every day. Thank you very much. And hangs out in the after party chat. If you don't know that, we have an after party chat after every live stream where we just hang out for 5 minutes and goof off in the chat. And I think we have finally figured out the time of it. YouTube does eventually kick us off after 5 minutes. We're allowed to hang out in there for 5 minutes and then we get booted. But that happens after every live stream. If you've ever left during the outro, actually an after party that goes on for about 5 minutes afterwards. JJ, geez, still no message, but dropping bombs. Thank you so much. That's 2 of them. JJ, appreciate it. JJ Melch, the super chat. Sam Hallett, thoughts on BCH? Love from England. We've probably beaten this one like a dead horse over the course of the last year. It is not acting any different than the rest of the market. I'll just be watching Bitcoin's retrace, and whenever it gets up, rolling with it at that time. But I don't know. As for like mainstream adoption going crazy, people are going to YOLO into Bitcoin Cash. I think we've kind of passed that opportunity with it being one of the only assets available over there on PayPal, being available on Robinhood. It's literally on every single exchange. Developer activity is dropping off. It just doesn't, I don't know. You know, typically it doesn't matter what asset you have. When the whole market moves up, it all moves up together, even when development activity gets abandoned. But we watched the new dynamic of the market in 2021 compared to our 2017 market dynamic, and doesn't leave a ton of like YOLO over Bitcoin Cash, but probably pushes back up with everything like the market always does. But as for anything substantial, I doubt it. Galloway's. What are your thoughts on WTK? Never heard of it. Don't know. Since I haven't heard of it, I can't pull it up. I'm sorry. Juan D. Estrada says bingo. All right, so I'm guessing that's our new T-shirt design, right? I need to relay that to the merch department. Thank you, Juan. Sebastian Barros says JJ merch is coming in hot with the big bucks. Yes, thank you guys so much. All right, so here we go. That's where we're at. We're sitting at retracement levels for XRP. Bitcoin waddling around. At the beginning of the stream, I said within 48 hours. It looks like we're in it, but you could see this thing can like still, I'm going to say within 48 hours, right? We could still walk down and then finally go to get moving down in here. I'd say within the next 48 hours, we find this local bottom here for Bitcoin. XRP fighting against the 702 Fibonacci retracement levels. Gold is holding up well so far to the start this week as the stock market is down. Tonight's going to be the debt vote for the House of Representatives. That's going to be for the Republicans, right? You've already got the president signing off on it. Democrat, I'm sure he's already run it through all of his Democrat buddies over there in the Senate, which has the control of the Senate. You just get the House to approve it today, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. is when the House vote is supposed to happen. We'll see if there's theater on that. New drama unfolds. Remember that one time, like John McCain came walking in, like he had disappeared. The whole vote was waiting on him. Then he comes walking back in and he gives like thumbs down. It was all dramatic and on camera and all that good stuff. Yeah. So who knows? We might see some drama, but that's supposed to be tonight at 8:30. And then just kind of waiting on how the markets respond. So we'll see what the markets do tomorrow after we get through that. But obviously, somebody had asked earlier, do you think it's a buy the rumor, sell the news? We haven't, for a rumor, we're down 265 points in the stock market today, 273 points over there in the Dow Jones on the rumor. Looking more like sell rumor, or maybe somebody already knows the news. I don't know. Either way, all eyes over there on XRP to see if it can get itself what's going to happen here at these retracement levels. So price got up there. You can kind of look here. You can see strength falling off here on the 4 hour for sure. Big fall off here on the 4 hour after being up since the 25th. So really about a week of grinding here. Boom, all strength falls off. See that? All momentum as we got back to the retracement level happening in here. How about on a bigger time frame, even on the 8 hour? All momentum is starting to fall here as we are back at that retracement levels. So, big question is, can we get through there? That's, of course, where my eyes will be throughout the rest of today. And then I will be writing the newsletter today, talking about the thing that everybody, the kind of the sentiment of the market. Sentiment of the market thinks printer go burr. If the Fed pauses, printer go burr. Debt ceiling lifted, unlimited debt, printer go burr. And is that a trap? Is that a mental trap to fall into that? Where's that money actually going to come from? Is it really going to come from a printer? Or is it coming from somewhere else? I have a couple of ideas. So I'm going to write about that today. I'll have that released tonight. And otherwise, JJ Melch, again, crushing it, dude. First timer here and just going crazy. Like, this guy comes out of the woodwork. Never seen him. He's like, hey, I'm going to become a member. Oh, hey, here's some big donos. And here, let me gift other people members. Thank you. And like, what's insane is we have 27 today, which is a huge number. If you would ask me 2 weeks ago, we'd be sitting here saying that's the new record, but you guys were nuts on Friday. But that's insane. I'm very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you, JJ Melch, for coming out swinging today. I appreciate it. And welcome, JR589 says, my dude, you still here? Much love from your boy, JR. Let's keep the grinding. Yeah, how long am I? An hour and 49 minutes. Oh, my gosh. Oh, then Eric comes out swinging with 10. Oh, thank you, Eric. Look at this. Now everybody's going to have green. So now if you have green, oh, dang, I forgot to look at the emojis. If I have the other emojis. Can I do this over here? I wish I had like an emojis. Oh, wait, I do have an emojis folder. Okay, there are a couple that I don't think we've used, right? Which ones do we have? Okay, we have the rocket ship, the arrow, the Lambo. There's like a black XRP hat one. And then there's like a blockchain backer yelling. But we already have the blockchain backer kind of yelling, but he's got his hands up, right? That's one of the emojis. Then there's another one where he's like yelling and he's kind of angry. I don't know about that one. We'll see. I'll get some more made. I think we need them at this point. Oh, dear goodness. There we go. Dude. Eric, friend and supporter of the channel with 10. And then JR589 gifting 5. And then Gator gifting 10. You guys, thank you. And then Moontosis joins. Thank you so much. I've got to stop you guys because you're killing it. I got to stop you before you get too crazy. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start getting through wrapping things up because you guys know I have a big day. I do have a big day. I got to write. The newsletter usually take me about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours to do those. So I'm going to get working on that. Alan, Frissy1, hey, BCB, keep up the great work, keeping us on the level. With stop losses, do you always set a 100% stop loss as a final limit in case market dives, or do you generally scale in and out more so? Thanks, bro. If I'm taking trades, I have a trade size, and yeah, it'll be fully executed on that. I don't spend much time actively trading. I've spent enough time doing it. I'm not actively looking for day trading. It's not a career passion of mine to do it. Like with everything, you have to really enjoy what you're doing. I understand day trading. I understand the concept of day trading. I think people are in love with the fantasy and the romance of day trading, that they can make $1 million or something doing it. It's just like it just becomes a job. It's all it becomes. And it becomes understanding mathematics and probabilities, understanding risk to reward ratios, and how often the strategy you're using works. A lot of times people have no problem using a strategy that only works 60% of the time. A lot of times people have no problem using a strategy that only works 50% of the time. But the thing is that you have to know your risk to reward ratio on taking these risks if you're going to be wrong 50% of the time. There's no traders out there thinking to themselves, I have to be right 90% of the time, or I'm 100% right, or even 80% right. They know dang well these numbers are perfectly fine as long as you have your risk to reward ratio within limit. You can have a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio and be right 50% of the time and still be a very successful trader. All you're doing is flipping a coin all day. But when you lose, you only lose one. But when you win two. And do that 1,000 times, and the number stacks up and gets higher and higher and higher. But you have to find them. You have to actively search for them all the time and find those particular setups that give you particular odds. You document it, you track it, you know how often these things work for you, and that's your source of income. I don't have the patience for it. I have found that what I do is I'll just sit on longer time frames, buy during the depths of despair, sit on stuff for a year because crypto is insane, and then eventually you reap thousands of percent rewards. Sometimes, obviously, in 2020, you don't own a lot of stuff, but on Bitcoin, we got 2,000%. On Ethereum, we got 6,000%. On Cardano, 10,000%. And those don't come from active day trading. Those don't come from, hey, let me take this shot at getting 10% on this particular setup. Just holding for long term and then selling when hype and euphoria comes in. And that's where I spend my energy, that, hey, you know what? Let me find opportunities to accumulate and operate on a bigger time frame. That's my strategy. I've done the smaller time frame stuff like this before. It's not as thrilling as you think. It is a pretty boring job. Smart, good traders know I'm going to lose. I don't care that I'm going to lose. It's part of the job. It's part of everything. The only thing I have to make sure is that when I lose, I only lose one. And when I win two. And if I can do that right 50% of the time, great. So essentially hey, I win, I lose. 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 And then eventually over time, it just stacks up and stacks up and stacks up and stacks up. But if I am taking trades, yeah, I'm usually just whatever my position size is all in and all out. But I remember what it's like being new. When you're new, you're pretty much all in, all out on your whole portfolio. That's what it's like being new. You're insanely trading the whole thing at all times. And day traders aren't going to do that. They're going to use like 2%, 3% of their portfolio to actively day trade. I just don't have the care or patience or passion to sit there and actively manage that at all times, because you know what I'll do? It'll take over my life. I will be checking that active trade at all times. I know me, because I'll do it. I'll occasionally do it. I'll set the stop. I'll do it. I actually do even have one right now. I have one, but I don't pay attention to it because it's gotten so far up away from my stop that I don't care about it. But when it's closer, I'm paying attention to it, and like checking my phone often, logging in and checking on it, and like, okay. And I don't like it. I don't like doing it. And I don't like having 15 of them at the same time either. So, but yeah, I do hold positions. JR, though, Gator, thank you. And Alan, thank you very much. Chris Greenhall, BCB, how close do you think alts will get to their former all-time high this bull run? Or do you think they will set new ones? Example, Eldron, Gold, Solana, Covalent, Theta. Well, you saw what happened in 2021. We had a different market in 2021. So immediately my thoughts, I always operate on like a rules basis, like if this, then that, if this, then that. We now know there is this element of not like majority cannot go to all-time high. The market dynamic changed in 2021 from our 2013, 2017 dynamic where top 10 always goes. It doesn't happen. It just didn't happen. Now, whether or not that's just because everything went into some crazy consolidation and these were just crash, retrace, reaccumulations, and then the whole market is going to rip, okay, but like I can't think that way. I have to kind of take into that worry of that. And I don't know the inflation of all those assets, and that's something that I definitely have paid attention to right now with stuff like Filecoin or Casper or Hedera, that the expectations of those setting those new all-time highs seems very, very rough. Because the inflation was so massive that it just deteriorated the token value. So paying attention to their market cap is probably the more important thing to pay attention to, as we saw that was important for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic. As for Solana, if you just apply past rules, right? So like Solana has a very similar setup that Ethereum did in the 2018 bear and how it found its bottom and all that stuff. The difference for Ethereum, though, is it still continued to have that developer growth at the bottom. There was still network activity and still developer growth. Solana, of course, coming off of just this death blow coming from FTX there in late 2022. They're dealing with a different scenario. So I'm probably not going to have the expectation on a new all-time high for Solana. Most of my chips and beliefs are really... I've even thought about it. Could I actually be an XRP maxi? Like, I've thought about it, man. I might. I'm not going to do it. Just because I can't do that for my portfolio, because I've been here long enough to know that Bitcoin can rip and leave everything behind. I got to at least have some type of protection from that. So I can't. And Ethereum too. I know it can too. And I'm very thankful that I protected myself like that in 2021. Because if I hadn't, it would have been a pretty sad bull run for me had I not been like my top 5 assets. I don't even know what number 5 was, but top 4 in order was XRP, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Unfortunately, Cardano as number 2 was the one that went 10,000%, and Ethereum went 6,000%. But my number 1 holding didn't. If I hadn't had that spread happening in there, it would have been a rough ride. I think I emotionally could handle being an XRP maxi, maybe. But I think it would just from market history, it might might be stupid. So I don't think I'm going to do it. But at heart, I could be. You know what I mean? At heart. That's just the analytical part of me that says I can't. All right, guys, I got to get this thing wrapped up. Chris, thank you. Did I do Chris? So I don't know. I can't review all those altcoins, my dude. I appreciate it, Chris, but take a look at developer data, take a look at the charts. We'll see, man. Let's get this market moving to the upside first. Let's see what happens then and see how the market's reacting and each of those coins are reacting. But all right, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up. Bitcoin, we'll see if we get that. I made a time prediction today. Hate doing those, but you know what? We're doing it anyway. I think within the next 48 hours, we'll see the end of this this flush here. We'll have our bottom set. We could start becoming bullish backers all day long. Guys, 53 memberships today. Of course, it's a lot of the generosity of current members of this channel, big supporters of this channel. Thank you guys very much for doing everything that you always do. I really appreciate all the support. Appreciate you coming out here. Happy Wednesday, guys. Let's get it. Let's get the jam going one more time. Let's do it in super high speed because that one's always a jam too. Here we go.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
All right, here we go. All right, guys, that's it. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, hey, look at that. We're at 1,200 likes already. That's pretty good for the live stream not even being over. Let's bump that up if we can. If you guys could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you like frogs, please hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.